Cup and Coffee with Liz, bringing you together, chance I get. Shout outs and tributes and what you're snacking on, Liz. Liz digging canoe, bringing you together. Liz digging canoe, get ready for the show.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Liz. It is 1 hour of hanging out with like-minded individuals from all over the planet. Right on, right on. Oh my goodness, my coffee was just delivered. Oh my goodness. Today, yes, I have a different mug. I have a mug that was, my goodness, sent to me this week by Rob, the history digger. Let me get in real tight on that one. I may start talking about metal detecting at any time. Yes. Oh, can you hear me? Can everybody out there hear me? I think you can. Oh my goodness. I might have the wrong thing on. No, you can hear me. Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Rob, the history digger, check out his channel. Oh my gosh, that is hot coffee. Rob, thank you. He sent me some stickers, some magnets. He sent me a pillow as well. Oh my goodness, Rob, thank you very much. And I just want to show you the t-shirt I'm wearing. Da 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 da. Pittsburgh coin. Oh, let's get it nice and straight in the shot. Pittsburgh coin hunting. Right on, right on. Joe from Pittsburgh Coin Hunting sent me a t-shirt. Joe, thank you so very, very much. My goodness, thank you all. I love receiving stuff in the mail. It's like Christmas, so thank you all very much. Oh my goodness. All right. So, like I said, take two seconds. Hit the like button on this stream. This is going to be a doozy stream because my guest today, I'll bring her in a couple minutes, is none other than Laurie from Relic Dirtyhands. If you have any questions whatsoever, or if you're like me and we're trying to embrace our equinoxes, but we just haven't, the commitment just isn't there yet. There's still some things that we need to learn. Nuances and that sort of thing. Laurie's gonna help us today, and I am going to the latter half of the chat, I will open up the floor to questions. So when I do open up the floor to questions, please put your questions into the chat. I would really appreciate that. But first, let's see who's in the chat this morning. Oh my gosh, I need a haircut. Don't we all? Let's see who's in the chat this morning, because as of this very moment in time, there are 27 amazing people all together in one spot. So right on. Gotta say, our very first person in the chat was, and I'm not really gonna be able to pronounce this, a detecting channel, and I'm not really sure where that is, but I think it's in Eastern Europe. So thank you so very much for joining the chat today. As well, BC Treasure Trail says, hello, it's 6:30 in the morning. I appreciate the fact that you got up early today. The lovely Linda Wallace is in the chat. Right on. Good morning to you. Las Vegas Urban Treasure Hunter here as well. Luke L. Not sure who Luke L is, but welcome to the stream. He says, hey-o. Right on. Mark Thomas is blowing up the emojis. Thank you, Mark. Rescued Treasures in the house. Needs a coffee. I hope you got your coffee. I hope you did. Digger's Den, Tyson Fury also here, so thank you very much. We have Metal Detecting North Carolina. Says, hello, Liz and Laurie. Hello. Outdoorsy gal. Oh, Chrissy is in the stream bright and early. So, Chrissy, thank you very much. Jim, MD Melbourne, was in the stream, but he's now left. But I noticed that he did post a metal detecting video, and I think that things are starting to open up in Australia. So he got out detecting. So there's a video that we can watch. So right on. Did I say rescued treasures? Not sure if I did. Adventurer 902 is in the house. Right on. It says, enjoy your day, guys. Just popped in to say hi. Going out to do some park hunting. So good luck to you. I hope you find something from your bucket list. That would be wonderful. Wild Fellows in the house, as his skin marks the spot. The weird guy in the park also here. So right on. Relic Dirtyhands is in the chat. So right on. Doodle's gone digging from Scotland, also here with us today. Thank you very much for joining. The Digologist. Oh my goodness. Welcome to you as well. Will's Treasures here. Digging for Life. Metal Detecting History Channel. Also in the house with us today. Thank you so much for joining. Kade's digging it here. Emily, Little Dirt Digger, is also in my house. Hello, Emily, and I hope you're having a great day so far. My goodness. Nick Haas, also here, so thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate that. Let's continue to go down the list. Steve Shepard in the house. Okay, wish me luck. Metal Detecting Roberto has joined the chat. William Kennedy also here. Oh my goodness, we have 32 amazing people, and I'm not done yet. Let's see. My goodness. Going down the list. I think I have pretty much everybody here. I hate to miss people, and I do sometimes, and if I did miss saying hello to you, please put an @DiggingCanuck and I will say hello to you. Let's see. Finishing up. I think we're coming up. Camp Valley Darcy is in the house. Hello, Darcy. My goodness. Gabriel Barlow here. Sully Saving History also here. My goodness. Corey, the Treasure Hunter. Check out his channel. He is a new viewer and a new subscriber, and yeah, we can do whatever we can to help Corey out with subs. That would be really good. Check out his channel, watch some videos, comment on some videos, and if you like what you see, then yes, absolutely subscribe. Digger Dame, holy smokes, Dame, my goodness, thank you, Dame, for joining. Digger Dame, part of Stealth Digger Nation, my goodness, wonderful to have you here with us this morning. I think I have said hello to everyone. Metal Detecting UK with the Metal Detectives of Dorset. 35 amazing people. I know you're not here to see me chat or to hear me chat. My guest, before I bring her in, is Laurie from Relic Dirtyhands, and like I said, if you have any Equinox questions, I will open up the floor a little bit later on. And we will hopefully get your questions answered. Oh my goodness. I'm a little like, ooh, because that's royalties in the house today. Relic Dirtyhands. Oh my goodness. All right. I am going to bring Laurie. So Laurie, I am about to open up your mic on my end. Let me get her up on the screen. Start with the mic. Let's get her up here. Oh my goodness, what happened? Where did you go, Laurie? Where did you go? Okay, I think she's here. Let's see. Let me hang on, Laurie. Let me get the other screen up. Laurie.
Hi everyone.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I forgot I have to put the headphones on when I do these interviews. Oh my goodness. All right, now I can hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Laurie from Relic Dirtyhands, and I think that a lot of people will know Laurie as the Equinox expert. And yes, I'm going to call you an Equinox expert. But before that, Laurie was more than the Equinox. She has a huge channel that goes back a few years. So, Laurie, just in a couple sentences for those people that may not know you, and if you don't know Laurie, oh my goodness, tell us what is, in a couple sentences, what is Relic Dirtyhands about?
Metal detecting. It's about our adventures in the hobby. We travel, we've gone to a lot of places. We like hunting with a lot of people. It's about that, and it's also about teaching as much as we possibly can. We're getting to doing more of it into our regular videos now, but my channel is also used to help people learn the Equinox and stuff like that. And hopefully we'll have more reviews and different type of videos like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, where did the channel name Relic Dirtyhands come from?
Well, we actually finished a hunt. Our hands were all dirty, everything else, and we were really excited to share with somebody. And somebody told us about the Canadian Metal Detecting Forum, and so we were really excited. So we got online, we set up a profile, and then they asked us for a name. And you could choose like an avatar, not really like your real name. So we sat there going, well, what's metal detecting related? We just started. And the only thing I could think of at that time was dirty hands, because my hands were so dirty. So that's how Dirty Hands came. And then when we started our YouTube channel, it required two names, a first and last name. So I had to come up with a first name. So we came up with Relic and Dirty Hands. So
the rest is history, as they say.
The rest is history. You know, Eric and I are multiple. We're more than one person. We used to have the kids with us, so we have lots of dirty hands. And
right on. I want to say the Yartifact Diggers are in the house, as well as Brooke the Believer have also joined. So thank you all very much for joining me. Now, Laurie, you must have known by now that I always go back to the first video. So your very first video was actually published on YouTube on June of 2013. Wow, you're like a pioneer in metal detecting. Now, you actually, in that video, I watched that video, you found an emerald ring that was gold, and you found a ton of silver. Do you remember that very, very first hunt? Well, that might not have been your first one, but at least it was for YouTube. Do you remember that hunt?
Yeah, actually it was I think it was the second hunt at that site, the second or third. And when we actually discovered this Victorian picnic grove, it was like as if somebody took a treasure chest and just threw the stuff all over the ground. I mean, you would swing and Victorian stuff all over the place. So somebody told us, you have to start a channel, you have to record this. So I recall that very well. And the reason why I remember this video so well is because what I did to Eric. Now, I had previously found some gold rings. I found gold rings previous to that hunt. But this was Eric. The emerald ring was Eric's very, very first ring he ever found. And I was the one filming. And I remember I was so excited and I just wanted to see the ring that I shut off. And I'm like, okay. And I shut off the video as he was saying, this is my very first ring. And it was like, dead, and I was just so excited for him that I shut off the video right away. So I recall that time, and it was hard. It was really, really hard. I was really embarrassed, and we held ourselves back so much, and weird noises came from our mouths, like and stuff like this. So it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but I don't regret that first video at all, because I would have never thought it would have been a treasure trove of memories for us as well, and seeing the kids growing up, and they were just so little, and it was a lot of fun.
Right on.
Anyway,
now from so what were you guys detecting before that video? Like, what got you started in metal detecting with, like, that's not something that normal people, that's not something that most people do. How about I say that?
Yeah. When I was 16 or 17 years old, I found a metal detector in my dad's basement, and he knew nothing about metal detecting. He picked it up at a garage sale. So I decided I got new batteries, really excited. I cranked up all the buttons on, like you saw on and off, and it was all the way. And then there's threshold all the way and
Right.
discriminate all the way. So I put everything up and I was getting no signals. And I'm like, there's nothing in the ground. I thought there was absolutely nothing in the ground. And it's probably because I had my discrimination on max, which back then I think you could discriminate everything.
Yes.
I don't know. So it didn't work. So I brought the machine back. And years and years and years passed by. And probably, I think it was in 2009, somebody Eric was working with was metal detecting, and they said, hey, come and look. And they showed him the stuff in the back of the pickup. You know how everybody, the typical detector is pickup, shot. And Eric was looking at this stuff and he's like, okay, that's kind of cool. And when he got home, he told me about it. And I got super excited because I was like, yeah, I tried it before, but it didn't work. And maybe we can give it a try again. And the very next morning, like when I get excited, I can't sleep, just like this morning at 4:30. So I was up at like 4:30 in the morning and I was looking on where we can find metal detectors around our area. And there's no shops. There's no way I can get my hands on a metal detector that day. So I looked on Kijiji, and sure enough, I found a Garrett Ace 550 GTX 550.
Oh.
It's the old green machine.
Yeah.
So I found and the guy's like, hey, yeah, meet us at the shopping mall and we'll meet up. And it was expensive enough. I think like $350, which at the time, like,
wow.
I don't think I've ever spent that much on a toy,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's a good machine. It was an older machine, but it was valued a lot more. So I thought it was a good deal. So we met the guy in the parking lot and he opens the back of his trunk and, we exchanged the money. And then I get back in the car and I'm like, that was so weird. I just thought it was really weird and I was really excited to go out. So we decided, I told Eric, I'm like, let's go to the beach. I didn't have a pinpointer, no gloves, no nothing, as you can see, dirty hands. So we went off to the beach and this machine kept on telling me it was a gold ring, right? It was falling right in the gold ring. And I was pulling out pull tabs and bottle caps. And I think 1 or 2 pennies, and this is in October. I think it was October.
Right.
It was cold, and Eric's nose is dripping. And he's like, I can't handle it. This is stupid. And I'm like, don't ruin it for me. I was really excited. And he's like, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just going to go sit in the car and wait for you. And I'm like, but I'm going to feel like you're waiting for me. He goes, no, hun, go ahead. Don't worry about me. I'm just going to listen to music. And so I was like, okay. And, I was sure I had a gold ring every 2 seconds. I was super excited, but I ended up with more garbage. And, Eric was just like, this is so stupid. I'm not going to spend hours in the cold. And,
right.
He wasn't as excited as I was.
Right.
And the very next spring arrived and I saw a lot of people hunting farm fields. And I was like, ooh, my grandpa has an old farm.
Yes.
So I contacted my grandfather and I went down to go and see him. And I found a huge coin. And it was a large cent. And I've never seen one of these. Never seen. So I call Eric at work and I'm like, Eric, and I'm like super excited. I don't know what I have. And it's big, but it says Canada. And I'm trying to describe it to him. So he passes the guy over on the phone that he was with. And I wish I knew this guy. I mean, I know his name. I don't know if I could share his name or if he would want, but I've never seen him since. The one Eric met. Never seen this guy since. But anyways, he told me I found a large cent. So Eric was blown away. And you have to say that the very next hunt, he was right there.
Really?
I had found like a 1 LC and a half of one that was cut in half. And when he went there, he found a few large cents and he found the other half. So we both found a half of the large
really?
Cents. Yeah, and I still have them. I have them like in my jewelry box because they're just so special. I said someday we'll put a hole in them and we'll wear each one our half. But it's identical. It was the same coin and you could see them. You could put them together.
Wow,
so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 1 year apart. So that's how I got into it, and that's how I got Eric into it. It took him a little piece of history and a large cent before he said, oh, there's something to this.
Right on.
And then we fought over the detector for years. I mean, how many years did we use the same detector?
You used that old Garrett?
We used the old Garrett for about a year, and then we decided we both kind of wanted one. So we had bought the MXT Pro. Let's just say when we tried the MXT Pro, neither one of us wanted to use the Garrett after, only because we were getting great depth. It was so simple. I like the tones. So we were kind of like, again, each one our turn. So we'd literally be out there with the kids and it would be like, okay, my turn. And as soon as I found something, it was his turn.
Yeah.
But at the same sweet spot where we were at the picnic grove. There was just so much stuff that we were like, okay, every 3, find and then we'll switch, So
yeah.
So we shared the MXT after because it was better to use the MXT than none of us wanted to use the other one.
Yeah.
Whatever
happened to that Garrett?
We still have it. It's actually up at Eric's cousin's cottage. Their kids wanted to detect, so we left it up there.
Oh, right on.
We're going to ask them as well, like if they're not interested anymore. We definitely like to have it back because I definitely like to keep it as a wall mount.
Yes, yes. Well, that was your first.
Yeah, and I'll never sell that one. It's our first. It's really triggered this incredible journey we've been on since 2009. So
right on.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to say, I don't think it's appearing on the screen yet, but Mike Mallyman sent a super chat, and he's got a little chicken doing a little. Oh, there it is. Laurie, can you do a? I know you can't see it yet, but can you do a little super chat, little dance?
I did a chicken dance. I love chickens. I've got chickens.
Do you really? Like you have laying chickens?
Yeah, we have 3 laying chickens and 1 duck.
Oh my god!
So we have a little pond, so the duck likes to be in the pond, but the duck thinks he's a chicken. He's rarely in the pond, and he hangs out with all the chickens.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Do you have a rooster? Do you need a rooster to have lens that lay eggs?
No, you don't. But one time we went to purchase 3 hens, and I ended up with 3 roosters. Oops. A raven got one, and I think a raccoon or something had gotten another one.
Oh.
And, a raven actually picked up that last one that we had and flew it off and dropped it and came home. And to our surprise, we've been raising this thing only to realize that, wait a second, it sounds a little different.
Really?
The tail was a lot longer. I think this is a rooster. And sure enough, one day it started roostering like, and my neighbors were okay. They're like, I love it. So we're like, okay. So we kept him for a while. But then when one of our ducks passed away, there was like quite a battle between the rooster and the duck.
Excuse me. Keep talking, Laurie. I'm sorry. Miley, I have to deal with Miley. So I'm sorry, Laurie. Continue. Please continue.
So they had a fight and everything else. So we had to find a new home for the rooster and this sort of stuff. But I liked having the rooster. I did. But people were scared of the rooster. They would walk by with a stick. They were afraid of the rooster.
Really?
He never attacked us. He never attacked anybody. But they're known to attack and chase after people. But so I guess,
my goodness.
I saw one woman walk by and she always walks with a stick. And I wonder, I'm like, oh, this might be because the rooster. I don't know.
Wow.
Because they're free as well. And they're free roaming. And we're pretty lucky to be able to have the free roaming. And they stick to home, but they love my neighbor's yard in the front, and they love having the chickens there. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They cross the road often enough, and people slow down. And I was like,
wow. Yeah. Now, from your videos, you can tell that family is very important to Laurie and Eric. Now, your some of your video, most of your early videos, your kids were with you, not necessarily detecting, but they were like exploring in the woods and that sort of thing, getting into trouble in the woods, that sort of thing. Do they still enjoy detecting? Has it gone by the wayside kind of thing?
Oh, I find over the past 2 years, their interest of actually going with us has really, really, really reduced. I mean, they're up for any events. They absolutely love seated metal detecting events and on the beaches. Mm-hmm. They absolutely love that. Once in a while, when we go out, if there's one with us, they'll be like, hey, and they'll grab my detector for a little tiny bit. But I don't know, they're young teens, and now it's like they want to be with their friends and stuff, and so no, they don't come along as often, but mm-hmm. I miss them and I wish they did. I really do. Mm-hmm. I love having them around me. Mm-hmm. It's always been a lot of fun, and we've shared so many moments, and they get so excited. Yes,
I think one of my the funniest moment I think with Maddie was Maddie ate a worm. Did he not? Like he actually ate a worm.
Me too, because I missed the first one. I wasn't recording. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh God, Maddie, because he really wanted me to capture him eating a worm. So I go to video it, and then I realize afterwards, I'm like, oh gosh, Maddie, I forgot. He's like, that's okay. I go, it didn't turn on. And he's like, that's okay, I'll just do it again. I'm like,
oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, he's all into, like, because of the fact they've been out in the woods with us since they've been babies, right? So
yes.
Maddie has always I also used to bring edible and medicinal plant books with me, and we would try to find the plants while Eric was detecting plants. We would take turns.
Right.
And so they've always had an interest in survival foods and stuff. And yeah, Maddie, he got a real kick out of it. His friends get a real kick out of it. I told him, you don't need to eat worms, honey. I'm like, you don't have to. I don't know if he's done it. I hope he hasn't done it. No? Okay, he just confirmed he hasn't.
Okay. All right. Do we need to give him a lie detector test, or can we take him at his word there?
I think we could take him as his word, but I know he told me he wanted to try crickets. So if I ever find some kind of crickets or
chocolate covered, maybe
chocolate covered crickets or ants or something, he would be totally up for that.
Yeah, I think that would be okay. I think that would be acceptable.
𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗓𝗪𝗢𝗪𝗏 is sitting there again. 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗓𝗪𝗢𝗪 wouldn't be up for it.
Right on. Now, Laurie, you guys, you've detected some incredible places. Like one video, or I think maybe even a series of videos, you actually detected a village or something that was underwater, and that it had, for some reason, I guess the water had low, like, I'm messing this up, but tell us about that underwater village that suddenly, like, wasn't submerged anymore.
We've actually detected a few of those. I think maybe you're talking about maybe British Columbia. Maybe when I went to British Columbia, there was that's pretty much all we hunted when we were up there, and they're called the drowned villages. And the reason why they're drowned villages and why there's water on top of them today is all about hydro. And hydro, as soon as they built the dams, a lot of these towns got flooded. And they're quite sad stories, because when you're up there and you see where they lived, you would never want to leave. Like, you wouldn't want to leave. It's the most beautiful views. The waters are crystal clear, like the most incredible looking water. They had such a beautiful home. So you could see why some people didn't want to leave. And hydro would actually go and knock at the door. And they would come to the door and say, no, we're not leaving. And they'll be, that's fine. They go around to the back of their house. They would light them on fire. And people
really?
So out in BC, around these towns for years, I mean, they've been finding stuff, some incredible stuff, including sometimes like a rifle just sitting up against, just like a hunting rifle just sitting up against a tree. Things that people wouldn't leave behind. I mean, military badges, sweetheart badges, jewelry, a lot of these things that there's no way people would leave behind. So you can tell a lot of people had to leave in a rush because they didn't want to. So they had multiple towns that had gotten flooded. And the same goes for actually a lot of places in Canada. Hydro came in a lot of areas, in mid 1800s to early 1900s. So a lot of towns got washed away. A lot of towns, and it's awful.
You've also, I'm kind of remembering that you detected something in the St. Lawrence where there's some underwater or submerged. Was that the same sort of thing about the hydro?
That's the same sort of deal. Exactly.
Really? Wow.
And in a lot of these locations, these areas are not exposed all year round. So there's really just key times, like out in British Columbia, I think it was March, April, when the water was low enough. And I mean, you're talking like a mile out. You have like, it looks like beaches all over the place, and you can see the foundation sticking out, or sometimes old parts of cars.
Wow.
It was absolutely incredible. But the only thing is these are the hardest metal detecting sites I have ever detected. I mean, I even think that they're worse than a cellar hole, because a lot of these places were burnt down, a lot of these, and there's like, it's just most trashiest, hardest places I've ever detected. But I love that kind of hunting. I just absolutely love that kind of hunting. I just find it so rewarding if you can pluck something out of an area like that.
So what kind of cool stuff were you plucking out of the St. Lawrence village?
My two best finds.
Oh, really?
My two best finds, like, ever. And this was just actually happened in January. And we've been hunting with Matt for quite a few years and stuff. And he brings us over there. And this January, it was just like a fluke scenario. They opened up the dam, drained everything. So there was a lot of exposed areas. And to give you an example, I'm not sure if you guys can see this. This is actually a 𝗥𝗚𝗢𝗪𝗢𝗪𝗡 plate.
Wow.
So this is actually a 𝗥𝗚𝗢𝗪𝗢𝗪𝗡 plate, and this actually is from the Virgin Islands before it belonged to the U.S. and it had to do with slavery. Yeah, and it's called the 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗧𝗔𝗟 Company.
Can you pop that up? Pop that up again. Go to move to the opposite of where you would normally, and now go. Sorry, I know it's hard because everything is backwards.
I know.
Can you move it closer to because I've got you really on a tight crop. A little bit closer to, okay, and then down a little bit. Perfect. All right. Wow, that's nice, Laurie.
Isn't that so cool?
Wow.
So this actually brought me down a rabbit hole. It was almost impossible to identify, only because it was from a uniform that was very short-lived. In, I believe it's like the early 1800s, even though it says 1765, it's when they reestablished the company back in 1765. But it's such a rare piece. I even contacted the museum over there, and they took a guess at what it was, and they figured it might be a plate on the shoulder strap. But when I looked at all the document and all the uniforms and everything else, it wasn't a match to that. So
right.
I know that it does belong to those uniforms. We know that. What uniform exactly, what date? I think it's from the one very short-lived uniform that they have no reference of right now. And there's only one other plate that's found in the US. So we contacted them, and they had very little information on it. So all the information I received from the museum, I also sent to the Historical Society in the US.
Wow.
So they had a bit more information, actually know how rare this is.
Wow. Beautiful piece.
The very, very same hunt as well, I had found this little token, which might be hard to really get up there. And yeah, it's hard to do that.
There. Oh, right there. Oh,
you got it?
More in front of your face, Laurie.
More in front of my face. Okay.
There, right there.
So that's probably really hard to see. But this is actually a 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗓𝗪𝗢𝗪𝗔𝗍𝒻. And the coolest thing is this is a Canadian coin. And I don't think, counterfeit, blacksmith, I think it's blacksmith. It's hard to say. But it's such an interesting coin, a coin that I never even knew existed. And it was basically, they were making it to make fun. Oh, this is where I need Eric. It's like those little things in my memory of exactly what they were making fun of. I know he can hear me, and he's not hearing me right now, but I do have it up on my profile,
right?
And I have all the information, but it's like one of those times that nothing right now it's not coming back to me. So this is most rarest coin.
Wow.
It's one of the most interesting. Actually, they did say it was one of the most interesting coins ever minted in Canada.
Wow.
So it has quite the story, and
So are you going back to that place? I would think so.
Yeah. The water is back up again. Unfortunately, it was down for really, really short, like not even a week. So hopefully we'll get back out there if all the restrictions come down a little more, because it's on the Ontario side. And we're allowed to go to Ontario now, but only for essential travel. So, which makes it, I don't know. I hope we get back there. I really do.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful, it's a fantastic. And that coin was actually on the surface.
Wow.
Which was hilarious. It was in between and it was around in the ice, and I'd pop it out, and it was just like,
wow. Hey, I just want to say welcome to Georginius from Slovenia. Georginius, thank you very much for joining us. Right on. So Laurie, you actually, I think you kind of pioneered the Relic news that you did in 2016. I'm pretty sure that was one of the first kind of interview formats. What brought that about?
I think it was one of the first ones that they were doing with Skype, and we can see both parties and stuff. A lot of them were podcasts and stuff. Sorry, my dog just one second.
That's all right.
So I remember I was on Beyond Sight and Sound and stuff like this, and I remember that I had created it because I really wanted to get to know people in the community. I was kind of new to Facebook. My dog, I'm sorry, can you hear that?
I can hear something. That's okay.
So, okay, he's playing with toys. Yeah, so I remember doing their show and I really wanted to get to know people. And, you know, in the community, how better else to get to know people than how did you get started? What's your favorite find? What do you wish to find? And just with 5 basic questions, I got to know a lot of great people in the hobby. And that's really why I did it, was to get to know people and show other people too who these people are in real life, you know, and not live. I was scared so much of live and still am. I was shaking before the show. I'm like sweating. I'm like sipping on the water, you know. So I wasn't good at live, but with the Relic News, at least I was able to edit and cut some stuff, wrong stuff. Oh, I missed still. That was fun.
You actually interviewed Harold.
Harold.
Harold from Bill Ladd fame. Harold Marchant. Is it Marchant?
Howard.
Oh,
Hewitt.
Sorry, Howard. Oh, what did I say?
Yeah, Howard Hewitt.
Did I say? Did I not say Howard?
I think you said Harold.
Oh my goodness, Howard! You spoke. That's like huge.
It was. I was so happy to get his interview. I mean, he was just so wonderful. I spoke to a lot of great people. Howard was definitely one. I really enjoyed his interview. He made me laugh. And this is what I loved about talking to a lot of these people. They just made me laugh. They had some really great stories, especially from ones that have been in the hobby for, you know, 30, 40 years. I mean, there was nothing better. And I learned so much from these people. And yeah, Harold. There was also Captain Fismer. I had the opportunity to do Captain Fismer as well. You know, Stealth Diggers, Hoover Boys, Jocelyn. I mean, Hoover Boys and Jocelyn. This is when I think that their channel only had about 500 subscribers.
Really?
Anywhere between 500 and 1,000. I know that they weren't even above 1,000 yet when I think.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking about 2016. So
wow.
A lot of these channels were kind of not huge yet. But I really wanted to get to know them and hear them. And you know, there was, so that's why I had done Relic News. It got to a point though, because I was editing, I was setting up the interviews and doing like showing their pictures and asking them in the back and forths and everything. Yeah. And it really got to the point that I was spending, I would say 5 out of the 7 days a week, only setting up my interviews and editing them and everything else. And it got to a point where it was almost like a full-time job.
Wow.
And it was a lot. It wasn't live, you know. I had to do a lot of the edit, and at the time I didn't have high speed internet, so it was literally
goodness,
24 hours to upload one interview.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fun, and I might actually bring it back someday. And I've always said Relic News is not gone forever because I absolutely love them. But the time of my life that was happening, and when the kids a little older. Mm-hmm. I needed more time.
Yeah.
I needed more time for me and some of my other stuff and kids and everything else. So I took a little break, but you never know, I might come back because I'd love to do a recap with all these people that I had on Relic News and see the difference of then and today.
That's actually a great idea for a show. That's a really great idea.
Oh, maybe someday. We'll see. Like I said, it's still not like completely gone, but I would love it because I had so much fun, got to meet so many wonderful people and actually got to know them, you know, on a one-on-one. Yeah. It's a lot different than following somebody on Facebook. And
that's true. That's true.
Huge difference.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Yes.
When you meet them, sometimes you're like, wow, you know, you're really cool, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, why was I so shy? Or why was I... And I was like, yeah. So that was my Relic News days.
Right on. Right on. Now you and Eric, you dig a lot of old stuff. Like you dig a lot. You two dig a lot of old coins. Do you guys do a lot in like of restoration, or are you? Because I know that Eric dug that 1600s Biscayne axe. Are you guys like restorationists? I guess.
Yeah, we're not, but we're learning, especially the items that we need to preserve. I mean, once you take them out of the ground, there's a responsibility to them as well. If we wouldn't have removed the rust would continue because there's moisture in the air and everything else. So to really keep those trade axes, mostly our trade axes that we do, to keep them and make sure that they don't continue to disintegrate. We do electrolysis, or we've done the vinegar. When we first started, we did vinegar. Now we're into more of the electrolysis and baking them and waxing them, just to make sure that we keep the environment away from it and we can keep it, a lot of them, some of them didn't have much left to them.
Yeah.
But, like I said, there's a responsibility with some of the stuff that we pull, especially something that has some sort of historical significance. It's so important, but that's the reason why.
I think you made a very important point there when you said that if you pull something historic out of the ground, you have a responsibility to preserve it.
We do. It's a lot of people don't think of that.
No,
but
they don't.
I love archaeology. I took a small archaeology course. I love archaeology, and I have a huge respect for archaeology. And that's the one thing is they have a responsibility to make sure that they preserve some of the stuff and this sort of stuff as well. So I feel that, if we find those things, we have a responsibility as well, because this thing is just going to rust away and will be turned into dust, and
yes,
no one will ever get to see it. At least we have. At least we have it and we preserved it and we have the information that goes along with it. And to say we have it in trust. I mean, we can't sell it. We can't, maybe someday it'll be donated with the information.
Yes.
Along with it if they're interested, but yeah, that's if they're interested, because they're not always that interested.
Yeah, I've heard that there are I think J3B also dug a trade axe, and he offered it to the museum, and they said, "Oh, we got lots of those."
Exactly. And the thing is I just read an article as well with the archaeologists, and the archaeologists need to keep these things in trust as well, just because of there's just not any room. I mean, they have storage units that are full of artifacts from archaeologists. So, they're trying to get a handle on that as well, and they're trying to make other facilities and a way to bring all these things together. But it got to the point that, from what I can read, they just didn't have the room to store what they're finding. So
yeah, that's a shame. That really is a shame.
It is, and I mean, it goes to show you that a lot of the stuff we never even get to see, and it's like, no.
Exactly.
Like, we've even gone to a museum close to here, and we wanted to see all this stuff from our area, but we didn't get to see the stuff from our area. It was stuff from all over Canada and nothing from here. And I'm like, where's our stuff that they just dug?
Exactly.
They've done some archaeological digs, and they found we wanted to see the archaic, all their archaic displays, and all of them weren't from around here. They're more from in Ontario and different places. So
wow. Now, Laurie, I'm going to change things up a little bit. Now, we are going to talk about the Equinox, but first, I just want to say that last week was the premiere of the Apex. Do you have any thoughts whatsoever? Like, I know you're a Minelab person, but any thoughts whatsoever on the Apex?
I'm anxious to hear more. I'm anxious to hear what other people have to say. I've heard some things. I don't know if they're rumors or they're not. So, I mean, if Garrett actually got a handle on the multi-frequency and they're going that way, I mean, I think it's amazing that they're following with the technology, and the technology has been changing a lot. So if they did create the successfully, I mean, I'd love to try it. I'd like to try any machine, doesn't matter. I'm not a Minelab. I may use Minelab, but I'm not only a Minelab person. I love all metal detectors, and if I can get my hands on any detector, including like the Simplex, all of it, I would love to test them all. I would love to get to know all of them, and then I would have a much better opinion, because I feel like I can't give people my opinions. I can't say one detector is not as good as the other,
right?
Until I test it myself. And that's how I feel. So, but I'm really curious. I'm curious to see. I heard one rumor that when you put it in multi, it's kind of laggy because it's taking too much of the processing power or something like this. So that's what I'm curious. I'm curious if whenever people get it, I'd love to watch some of the videos and
Mhm.
actually see how it reacts
Mhm.
and this sort of stuff. I'm really curious. I'm
Mhm.
curious.
All right, we're gonna start talking about the apex now. Or why do I keep saying that? I am
You
not.
just
I am not being paid by Garrett to say apex. I am not being paid. We're gonna talk about the Equinox now. Now, Laurie, I think that a huge amount of metal detecting people kind of learned about Laurie and Relic Dirtyhands by the tutorial videos that you started putting up on the Equinox. How did that series come about? Why did it come about?
Because I was scared of the Equinox. I was so scared of all these settings. I mean, you have to think, I really went, like, after my MXT Pro, I picked up the MX Sport. And that just was not a machine that suited me at all. But the MXT is such a simple machine, like so simple. And then I get this and I start looking at it. It says if you change the settings, it'll change all the settings on all, or these settings will only change here. And so I was afraid to even change anything, afraid that I would lose my default settings. And Eric wanted to borrow it. And he's like, yeah, I might just, and I'm like, no, don't play with anything. I'm like, if you're going to play with, no, I said, unless you leave it in defaults and use it the way it is, that's the only way I'll let you out the door with it.
Right.
So I was actually kind of petrified. And as I was reading the manual, trying to get a grasp on it, there's a lot of terminologies I just didn't understand. I never really knew much about frequencies. I just knew that the machine we were using was a single frequency. I knew that the CTX was multi or something, so there was a lot of stuff that I was really confused and totally lost. And I'm a type of person that, I got beat by one machine already, that I wasn't going to let this machine beat me, and I needed to figure it out. So it really started with that. But at the same time, the kids were also going through testing at school, and we also discovered probably why I had such a hard time with the manual. We have dyslexia and attention deficit disorder in our family, so it's really hard for us to read and sometimes comprehend at the same time everything that we read. And they were testing and they were doing stuff at school which was audio visual. So they got a computer and they had the story read out, because it was mostly about comprehension and not really about how much you held from what you read, how it was when we were in school. So now they're really looking at the comprehension. So I was sitting there going, well, that's a fantastic way to teach. And I used to give lesson plans when I was in the cadets. I used to teach some groups and stuff. So I said, that's it. I'm going to make a lesson plan out of this manual. So
right.
I think it took me probably a total of 3 months to write up my lesson plan first. And before I even started working on the videos, I had my whole entire lesson plan. And anything I didn't understand, I would actually contact Minelab customer service and say, would you be able to put this in other words? Having a really hard time to know what you mean by weighted in on.
Yeah.
What's weighted in on? Like, who speaks that way? So they were great. They were great on answering the questions. So they were able to answer them. And then I was able to create the tutorials. And I created most of them before I even released my first one, just because I knew that I wanted my whole project done. But then I was too anxious to release it. So then I started releasing them before I was completely done. But this is basically how it came about. Is I did not want to get beat by another detector, and I really wanted to learn all these terminologies and what they meant by, where it weights more on one frequency than all this sort of stuff. So this is where my journey began. But the whole tutorial series probably took me almost 6 to 9 months to create. Wow. Because a lot of the stuff you see in there, like as you see the things move and things highlight, those are all pictures that I overlaid on the main screen to give that appearance, so none of that was all done by pictures. I did a little walking guy that was metal detecting the 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗓𝗪𝗓. Eric created that one for me.
Wow.
And so a lot of them were like even my own background. When you see the guy going, that's all stuff that I drew and I created.
Wow.
There was a lot more to it. I thought it was going to be simple, right? 1 to 3 minutes. How long can that take me? Well, I discovered that when it came to editing, each one of those videos would take me a full day to a day and a half to create one to 3 minute video. Yeah.
But I gotta say, that to me is, if anybody has any questions, go watch Laurie's videos on the Equinox, because it's plain language, it's easily understood, and I
And
mean,
you have the audio, you have the visual, and you can see
yes,
where you have to go and what settings does what and stuff like that.
exactly.
What happens when you actually have an audio visual of something, when you're out there and you think back, it's much easier to think back at something that you've seen,
Mm-hmm.
so you get the
Yes.
memory, and then you start going, oh yeah, I have to go here. And
Mm-hmm.
so it really helps having the visual, the audio visual of it. I
Right.
think it's
So,
proven with my kids too. So
right. All right. So if anyone in the chat has an Equinox question, we are talking Equinox. Just put an @Digging Canucks so that it actually highlights on my side, and I will ask Laurie the question. But Laurie, so just for those I mean, me personally, it took me about a year. Like, and even today, I'm not even 100% comfortable. I'm gonna say it. And I see people changing and changing this, and this is how I'm setting up my detector, and I'm like, wow.
yeah.
But for me,
it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when I hear people saying, hey, what's the best setting for this? It's like, or what setting do you use? And then I'm sitting there going, no, that doesn't work, guys. And I'm like, no, it's all individual.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
a lot of the settings are really for individual sites, the conditions that you're dealing with, and even your own preferences,
Yeah.
And my first year, like I said, I hunted a year before I even jumped into the tutorials. That first year, I mean, I was lucky that I got to hunt a lot, and I had experienced a lot. But even after that 1 year, I was still questioning a lot, and I was probably thinking some things was like a nail and it wasn't a nail, and I was questioning a lot. I was finding stuff though. I was still finding stuff in between, so I was really, really excited. But even after the first year, no, I didn't have a grasp on it. The second year, throughout that whole winter, I studied this. I studied. And my second full year with the Equinox, I don't think it was until the end of the year that I started noticing some slight differences in certain things, like really faint, deep, like really deep, small items are going to sound really faint. They're not going to be a bang on signal and super loud, And this is all because of the way this machine is set. So there's a lot of little things that I learned. And now I'm very comfortable. I'm very, very comfortable with it. And I can adjust my settings, very fluently when I'm out there when needed. But I wouldn't say that I have it, like, it's not an extension of my arm yet. It's very close to, and I'm very comfortable with it. But I still feel that there's things I am still learning, because I use 50 tones as well. So that's a lot.
Do you? Oh, yeah. I use 5.
I use 50. I just love hearing the differences. And,
really?
Yeah, with the MXT, I think I had 28 tones. I forget how many tones, but I love using the 50 tones. It really helps you to better identify your targets. It does. I mean, it even states it in the manual, and this is a lot of things people don't realize, and they stay with 5 tones, but they're actually extending their learning curve. I think personally, I feel like you're extending your learning curve if you're going to stick with 5 tones, because this machine is telling you so much more than you can imagine. And on the 50 tones, I mean, it's telling you these differences between this and this, and you can hear the difference. Like, I can get a solid 17, but I got 2 different tones. I have an iron, sometimes a really hand forged type of iron will come into the 16, 17, but so does a bullet casing. But they both sound different, and you can hear the differences. And on the 50 tones, and this is what I'm getting. I'm at there now, where I'm really, because I got to know all the other signals, and now I have them and I'm used to them. I'm starting to notice some of the other stuff, and just like every gold ring I've gone over. Not saying that I haven't found any gold rings, but the ones Eric found, and we did some ring returns and stuff. So I've been testing rings. And to my surprise, it's not as solid. It doesn't sound as solid as a pull tab. A pull tab, you'll get like 17, maybe 16.
Yeah.
But with a ring, you got to think there's 2 sides to the ring, and often you'll see a jump, and you'll see it like, jump a little more from like a low to a high and stuff like this. So they're not as pretty signals. So I'm really looking for those this year. I'm really looking for those.
Right.
So like I said, you really start to get to know the subtleties, and it takes years.
Mhm.
It really does take years to learn the machine. As much as you can find stuff right away.
Yeah.
You know, and with my previous machines, it would take me a year, sometimes a little more, maybe 2 years to really get comfortable with them.
Mhm.
So it's just a little longer. I would say it has a little longer of a learning curve, but it's really worth it. Really worth it.
There's a question from Dan Anderson. He says, I was wondering if I just turn on and go, am I using the Knox wrong? Should I tweak it with other settings? Like, is it possible to just turn it on, use the factory basic and go?
No, there's actually one thing that he must do before that. And I recently, like, I've always done it, but this one hunt, I didn't do it. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And I'm like, it was just so hard to hear stuff. Things sounded differently. It was a little messed up, you know? And it was the noise cancel. It is so important to do your noise cancel as soon as you turn on your machine, as soon as you change a mode. I mean, if you're going to go back and forth from mode 1 to mode 2, then do the noise cancel on both. It'll save them both and that location, but every location is different. And the last location I was at, I had the noise cancel for there. And when I went to the next location, I was just full of iron, and it was a very different location. And things didn't sound right. And I couldn't understand why. And then I figured maybe it's because of my noise cancel. So it's one of the first times I haven't, and it does slightly adjust all the frequencies in case of any EMI. So if I'm getting some houses around here and I do noise cancel here, but then I'm in the woods, you know, it's going to be a different frequency. Like it's not the right one. So important to noise cancel. As much as some people say they don't like that extra step and it may not be worth it, do it, because I just recently noticed I had difficulty, and I'm sure that's what it is. And it does make a difference to noise cancel. So you got to noise cancel first. Sorry, let me go long, a long answer. A really long answer. Noise cancel is so important, but the default settings, if you're just starting with it, it is perfect. I wouldn't touch them. And you know what? I actually go back to the default settings all the time. It's like something is just so stable about those default settings. I mean, they have it just really well balanced. And as soon as you start playing, you know, with the settings, I personally know a lot of differences and inconsistencies, choppy signals, little things like this. So in all honesty, the default settings, start with it. And if you're a new detectorist, like brand new to the hobby, or you only have a few years, you know, starting with Park 1 or Field 1 is really a really good idea as well. Just till you get a little used to it.
Now you said starting with Park 1 or Field 1. Is there really a big difference between Park 1 and Field 1?
Absolutely. Such a huge difference. And this is another thing. I mean, like I said, this machine is just absolutely incredible, and they tweaked everything. So park mode is really set for today's trash. So you're thinking like aluminum cans and foil and things like little wrappers and things that you see, whereas field is really set for more for the tin and iron and different types of trash. I mean, you got to think the tin cans are not made with the same materials today.
Yes.
You know, you will have much better success if you're in a high trash area of today's trash, like a school, some of the beaches. If they're very trashy, you might be a lot more successful in park than you would be in field. Unless it's an old beach and you have a really old beach, then hey, field or park will work because it's a mixed site. So you have old and new. You can always choose your preference. But if you're in a park, I'd highly recommend park, especially in Canada, Park 2. Park 2 in Canada. But anyway, yeah, so there's quite a few differences in the way they're set up. Just like beach. I mean, beach mode is made for salt conditions, so it's high mineralization. So they're actually using really low frequencies and very, very low frequencies. And we like a high frequency is actually a lot better for gold. Go figure, you know? So yes. But it's the only way. These low frequencies, I mean, it's more like a straight line and the frequencies aren't going like this, you know? So it's capable of penetrating that salt. It's capable of penetrating that salt a lot better than park and field modes. So
right. Nick has. Sorry.
Some people will use beach and they're not in salty conditions and they like it because everything comes out so high.
Oh,
You beach, and it's like even on a quarter or whatever, I think it was like sounded like ding ding, like it was super high.
really?
Yeah, so I just played around with it. I don't have a lot of experience on the beach mode.
Right,
I know what's in the
right.
manual and stuff
Hmm.
like this, but using it
Hmm.
in salty conditions, no, I don't have a lot of it. But I did use it in black sand, and it worked pretty good.
Hmm.
It was tough still. I was still getting some chatter. I really had to reduce my sensitivity in the black sand conditions, but this is all my other detectors. We weren't able to do this little section, but I finally was able to go over it with the Equinox. And I'm like, yes. Our other machines would overload and just
Right.
overload. We couldn't hear anything. At least I was able to tweak and bring it down and at least see if there was anything there.
Hmm.
I found a few cans and that's about it.
Hmm.
So didn't
Um,
miss out on that.
Joel from Drummer Detect says, "Do you prefer to have the tracking on or off?" I think that's a good question.
That's
Because
a real.
some people have said if it's on constantly, like, what are you missing?
What's the default? Does you know what the defaults are? Because that's pretty much what I've been using, but I've been also hearing a lot of people talking about the tracking. And if you have your tracking on and you're trying to isolate a signal, it'll start to omit that sound. And this is what people are telling me.
Yes.
I personally have been leaving it on default settings, and
So is default has it off and you have to actually turn on tracking? I don't know.
That's actually a really good one. That's not one that I remember, because it's not something that I've used after I had it set. It's not something I would use. That's a really
Because
good,
if the tracking is on, you will see something on your display. Is that right?
that's right. It should be flashing.
Okay.
I think it has a little squiggly, I think it is.
Okay.
Trying to remember.
Dan Anderson and Nick said default is tracking off.
Okay, tracking off, and that's the way I've always hunted.
Okay.
And I actually heard somebody as well recently talking about that, and it makes a lot of sense, actually, what they're saying. I absolutely believe that, yes, it could start omitting certain signals with tracking on. You usually I believe you would use that when you're gold prospecting, because of high mineralized conditions, that it's always tracking the ground and adjusting itself, which is excellent, which is absolutely needed.
Okay.
But if you're in parks and fields, I don't think it's something necessary. And like I've heard those rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be able to come up with a test or something to prove that, but I think that would be kind of difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I've heard the same thing.
Now,
default.
Now, lately, you seem to have a bit of an epiphany happen about Canadian coins with the Equinox, because I am totally guilty of saying I haven't found any clad since I got my Equinox. You kind of figured it out, I think.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty on thinking people weren't digging those signals and people were only digging the good and the high signals, because I saw a lot of people discriminate up to 19 or 20 when they were first starting. And a lot of people were recommending that to people. And as a relic hunter, I was like, oh my God, you guys shouldn't be doing that. You're missing all the tombacks, all the little buttons. You guys are missing so much, the gold, everything, So by discriminating too high wasn't right. But what happened was then I had seen somebody else put out a video proving to everybody how the Equinox cannot find clad. And they were using an 800. And I was like, no. I find clad, especially those quarters, it's like the quarters. So I just couldn't understand how come. And I noticed he had discrimination on. So I was like, I never hunt with discrimination.
You don't hunt with discrimination.
No, I don't. And for the longest time, I love my machine wide open. Now that recently changed as well, especially after my test. I always preferred it like wide open, like a wide open machine. I like to hear everything. The ground tells me the story of the iron, where the iron is leading to, what the type of things I'm finding within. So I always like listening to all of it. But yes, going back to the clad, I figured it was discrimination. And I actually wrote this thing up saying, it might have something to do with discrimination. Well, at one point it's okay, this is enough guessing. It's just enough guessing. I'm done with this guessing. We need to find out why some people are finding it and why some people aren't.
Yes.
So we chose them. We got the test garden out. Eric helped me. Great. He was great on putting them all, and he was fantastic. And we put them in, and we were going from Park 1, and we decided to do Park and Field to test them in Park 1, Park 2. And well, in Park 1, when we went over it, it completely omitted the coins. So again, it was like 2 lines, didn't hear it at all. And I'm like, that's not how I experience it. I know that's not right, you know. And then we flip it to Park 2, and we're like, there it is. And this is the whole thing. If you're hunting in Park 1, you're not going to find those steel core clad coins. They actually omit it. You don't see it.
Wow.
Park 2, you actually get it. And now what I notice, I mean, it's a very jumpy, but you notice it goes from low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, and it's very repetitive. So you'll see like 2, 14, 4, 16, or 4, and it goes low, high, low, high, low, high. And as soon as you put on and you take your discrimination off and it's wide open, now you're getting all of those numbers plus the negative. So it kind of makes you feel like there's something within nails or something within iron, and that's not really the case. But if you're using Park 2 with your discrimination on, you're not getting those negative numbers, but it's jumping low, high, and it sounds really good. I mean, it has this tone that you would dig. I mean,
okay.
It doesn't sound like low and
yeah, yes.
It actually sounded really good, as we saw. It was a diggable target. So that blew me away. I was so happy because a lot of people who bought the 600 were actually regretting their purchase in Canada on the 600 and said, I should have bought the 800. I can't find clad. Well, guess what? Surprise, you can.
I'm so happy about that.
Exactly. So it's not the fact if you have a 600 or an 800, it's really the settings. And it goes to show you, and the reason why it works on Park 2, okay? Park 2 is actually made to find the smaller and larger items. So you have a larger variety of things, and you got to think that plating is so thin. So Park 2 picks up the itty bitties, and it's picking up that plating and actually making it sound a lot better. Where in Park 1, it doesn't pick up the itty bitties. So if people are looking for those thin gold chains as well, you better switch over to 2. Another thing about 2 that a lot of people may not realize is coins on edge. I mean, that'll pick up, like I said, it's picking up the itty bitties and the smaller items and the smaller pleats, and so this is my theory on why Park 2 is picking them up and Park 1 isn't. So
now what about so you have the Canadian coins. What about American clad? Are you thinking about that? Figuring out.
So I would love to. I actually had a request from somebody if I could do it on the US coins. So I went through all my coins and I realized, because the type of hunting we do, I only have old coins. So I would love to be able to do the test on the US old coins, and they're I don't know, if I'm not mistaken, I've dug some US coins that looked pretty pitted recently. Do they have steel core coins? I'm not sure if anybody in your audience if they've changed their coins or their pennies maybe. Is it zinc? Is it the zinc that gets pitted? I'm sure I saw some US pitted coins recently.
Actually, Madison Main earlier said that steel quarters don't ring up well on his detectors.
So they might also, I need to take a look at what their coins are made out of. And that would definitely be, I'd love to, but I may need somebody to send me clad, like today's clad from the US, because I don't live close to the border. And in my pocket change, I mean, with debit cards and stuff like this, I mean, I think the newest quarter I might have found was 1970s, in the 1970s and something like that.
All right. This is a call out. We are having an emergency call out to all you Americans. If you can, send Laurie some Americano clad so that she can do these tests and so that she can put out a video to help you all, then get in touch with Laurie, send her an email, and get together. And Laurie needs American clad people for a video, okay?
One thing people mistaken as clad, a lot of people think our coins like from the 19th, after the large cents to today are considered clad, when that's not the case. The clad is really only started in 2001, where the steel core is what we call clad coins. So in the US, if you guys have coins, I have changed recently, and I think you guys might have after us, but it would have to be the newest coins, like 2019, 2018, 19, 20, type years to be able to test out for sure.
Right on.
So.
Right on. Now, Laurie, the Equinox, I think, has had, I might be wrong on this, but I think they've had 2 software updates. The last one was that they added, is it F2 and FE?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about F2 and FE?
I don't like it. I don't like the new iron bias. I really prefer my FE0. And again, like I said, I've always been a girl that likes things wide open. And I tested out the iron bias. I mean, like I said, this machine has so many settings that you can suit it up to your liking. Now, if you really hate and you're really having a hard time with some of the bottle caps and some of the iron, you can learn that signal. You can learn it. You don't have to change a setting. But if you want, you can up it. But usually you have to up it pretty high. And when you're upping your iron bias pretty high, I mean, it's telling the machine it's most likely trash. So the higher you put it, the more the machine is saying it's more likely trash. So, I mean, if you have like something that's iron and then you have like something really close, it's probably going to be thinking that it's a mineralization or off the iron. So it's going to trash it. So if you want to up your iron bias for a less noisy hunt, it can work good. But like I said, you have to up it pretty high for it to make a difference, I thought. And I also found that my signals got choppy. So they just sounded choppy, and I'm all about the signals and hearing the signals on the 50 tone. And I don't like interruptions in my signal per se, because like I said, it tells you a lot. And as soon as something doesn't sound the same for me, I find it difficult. So I rather have it the most natural sound possible, and having it on 0 iron bias is going to give you that. And I also hunt really high trash. And I don't want the detector to tell me that it's iron when it's possible it's not. I rather dig that iron and see for myself. So
you're suggesting then, suggesting FE at 0, learn the irony signals maybe by digging them so that you know what they are. And then, so what about that F2? When should we just leave F2 alone? Or like, I'm kind of asking for me here, Laurie.
You know, it's a preference. And like I said, it's a preference. It depends. I mean, if you don't want to miss anything at all, like I said, keep it down to 0 and the natural response. But if it's driving you crazy and you're having a really hard time, like with me, what I'll do, the only time I'll raise up my F2, I'll actually raise it when I'm on a farm field and I'm scouting out, or we're walking towards a hot spot. And I mean, those boys walk so fast. I mean, they got legs twice as long as mine. So what I'll do is actually I'll boost it up, and I'll boost my, I'll use the F2. I prefer the F2 in this case, and I'll actually boost it up pretty high. And what I'll do, and this way I can actually swing, and I'm not getting distracted by the little falsings of the iron. And so this way, I've actually been able to cover 2 to 3, maybe 4 times more ground than I used to, because all those little ones used to make me stop and double check and this sort of stuff. But if I'm in a rush and I'm going from one location to a hotter location, but I want to swing along the way, because you know, you can find stuff everywhere. And that's when I'll actually use it. So I so far I've only been using it then when I need to get to point A to point B really quick. And I really want to be over there, but I got to get there, and I don't want to miss anything. That's when I'll actually boost it. And I find it works really great when you're walking fast and covering long distances and stuff. So that's when I use it. But if I have the time and I'm in a hot spot, I'll definitely reduce that iron bias. And especially when you're in a really trashy spot, you want to get in between, and you don't want your machine telling you it's trash when it's not. And that's what it is. The higher you put it up, the more it's saying it's iron, especially if there's things masked and, you know, and there's items that kind of mask within the iron. That's what's going to happen.
Right. So. I want to say welcome to Digging with Deej has joined the chat. She said hello to Laurie. So right on. So remember, if you have a question, we're kind of on the wind down here. If you have something that you would like Laurie to answer, put an @Digging Canuck to get my attention, and I will definitely read the question to her.
I do have something to share with people about the iron. I know, I'm recommending 0 and people are like, I dig so much nails and I dig so much wire and little things and this sort of stuff. One thing I've discovered, the falsifying. The falsifying is actually occurring on the outside of your coil and not the center of your coil. Make any sense, anybody? And you actually have to be in an exact angle to be able to get the falsing noise. And I actually discovered this with my iron bias test and also on our clad. The same thing happens on the clad, go figure. So I don't know if there's some sort of secret in the coil, but this is what I'm noticing. As you're approaching, so we'll say, I'll use my little pipe here, and this is the end of, this is the end of the nail or the spike or the piece of wire. And you have your coil, and I'm talking, and you bring your coil. So the side of the coil, not the front, so not where the strip is, but on the side. As you come close, you start getting that falsing, and and as you can push and get that falsing to repeat, and it sounds really high and really good. But as you're trying, it's messing you up a little bit because you're thinking it's in the middle of your coil. So you're kind of having to chase it, and it's hard to isolate. But that's how the falsing occurs. And the same thing happens with our clad. As soon as the coil actually starts approaching the nickel plate or the steel core, it's actually, you'll see the nickel ring off first. You see the nickel, and then you see the lower tone, I think, the 2 or the 4 or whatever. So it goes high, low, and it's when the side of your coil hits it, you get the nickel, and as you're continue swinging, and I mean, a lot of us swing fast enough, so it's hard to notice this.
Yeah. Yes.
Slow down. If you slow down a little bit, and then as soon as you go to pinpoint, that's the major one. A lot of people don't pinpoint. If you're digging up too much nails, maybe you're not pinpointing enough. But when you try to pinpoint a nail, when you try to pinpoint a nail, what happens is it sometimes just moves 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters over. Like I said, it'll actually, the pinpoint will bring you on top of the nail, whereas the falsing, when you get the little signal, it's getting at the tip. So if it's a really small nail, though, sometimes it'll move just a little bit, But these are the tricks, and this is what I've been noticing about not digging the nails. You kind of get used to that signal, especially on 50 tone. They sound awful, and I can't isolate them. And if it takes me with the Minelab wiggle, and if it takes me more than a few seconds to be able to isolate, then I usually know it's a nail, and I've dug them, and they were nails, and they were nails, and they were nails. But a little tiny silver that's mixed up with a lot of nails can actually sound that way too. But it just seems a lot easier to isolate. And it seems to be because it's in the middle of the coil or something, right? So I've been able to pull, a little dime out of a lot of iron and stuff like this. And it sounded similar to the nail. So everybody has to be a little careful but you can isolate it a lot easier. And even if it's choppy, even if it's one way, you can even only get it one way, but at least you're getting that signal to repeat, and it's not going as screechy and high. And when you, like I said, you almost have to pump the coil up against the iron to make it false. And it's pretty unique. And when it's in the ground, you can't see what position the nail is in.
Yes, true.
So, but you get to, you really get to recognize it. I've been able to recognize, I still get fooled by bent nails, like every machine does. Bent nails get me, and when I'm digging a lot, I'll dig those nail tips. I will, especially, it depends on the location, but if I'm in a really good location, I'm digging them. I mean, some of them can sound iffy. I'll dig them anyway, and then I'll be like, by the end of the time.
But in the same vein, you could also dig up like the best coin you've ever dug, right?
Absolutely. And I'm saying there is a difference, and you can avoid digging them. But with myself, when in certain situations, especially hard hit sites, I'll be digging. I dig those IVs. I dig them because, you can swing for that bang on signal and it'll ever come. But if you can take like 10 or 15 iffy signals, and all of a sudden, it's a button. Oh, wow. Then you
exactly. Nick Hass wants to know, do you use the big coil for the Equinox?
No, I haven't purchased the big coil yet. I have the small coil, and I have the standard coil that comes with it. I was debating on if I even needed that coil. Now, I do farm fields. I'm getting a lot of depth anyway from my machine. I find that the larger coil you're going to be dealing, please tell me if this is not true, but I figure that you almost have to reduce your sensitivity when you're using the large coil. I figure there might be more pulsing and stuff. I mean, it could get deeper. I mean, I just don't have a use for it right yet. Maybe in years from now when everything, but they turn the soil in the farm fields and every few years, you know.
Exactly.
I haven't found a reason for it yet. I really love the standard coil, like the standard one that comes with it. I love the size. It just seems perfect size for even a plug. You know, when I make my plug, it's almost like, I don't know. I like it. The small one, not so much. I actually, I need to get another shaft for my other coil, because the thing of sitting in the middle of the field changing my coil, and especially I'm not the strongest person for the best world. I used to have to call Eric. It's a pain in the butt, twist the coil and everything else. So I just need a second shaft to make the, you know, the exchange really quick and easy, because I would love to, because there's some situations where that small coil, it just, you can't cover a lot of ground, right? So if you have a tendency, or you have a plan to stay in this like 10 by 10 area for like an hour, 2 hours, then I'll put on the small coil. It's really fun. It really squeaks out little things. It's easier, because again, you're covering less of a surface, so you're really, you know, things are coming in really nice. And I like the small coil. I haven't used it too much. I just, you know, my all two is that one, and maybe someday I'll get the big coil. I don't know. Maybe someday.
Nick Molnar says, what shovel do you use?
I am still using the Predator, the Piranha Predator.
Oh.
Now, I have gotten that as a gift. I hosted one of the first people I brought down, and we hosted them for the weekend. As a gift, he gave me a Predator. Because he's like, you know, you guys, you know, we didn't have the right tools and everything else. And he's like, no, this is what you guys need. So it was a fantastic gift. And again, we were always sharing stuff. So but I'm still using that one. That one's my go-to. Eric is using the Ledge. I find that for me, it's too small. I can't go deep enough, because my plugs, I mean, it's just a very short, small one for the plugs. But Eric, I mean, he's like this, I don't know, this magician when it comes to plugs. Like, he makes it look easy. Okay, guys, it's not that easy. He can do a plug one-handed. It's like this perfect plug, pop it out like nothing. He uses the smaller one, and I still use that one. We do use the Weiss hand diggers. We've tested out the one from Garrett. We've had the Lesh. But when we got that Weiss, I mean, it is heavy. I have to admit, kind of heavy on the belt. Really kind of heavy on the belt, and the cover that it comes with, I mean, you can rip through it within no time. I mean, my set, whatever the holster thing you put it in, it's not going to last, because it is the sharpest tool I've ever used. And what I love, it's serrated on both sides, so you can go up and down. And as you're going up and down, either right or left, or whichever way, if you're left-handed, right-handed, I mean, it's going to suit great. And I love having the two serrated edges so sharp. I've never used anything that worked that well. I tried actually the T-handle shovels from the Weiss. I wasn't, again, they're too small. They're kind of too small compared to the Predator.
I think the Predator. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's the shovel of my dreams.
You know, I haven't even sharpened it yet, and I think we got it. We got it. Well, I think we were at the sweet spot in our first videos.
Really? Wow.
I think.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty much when we got it. So 2013, and I've never sharpened it. I mean, people are telling me I should, and I guess I could, but I mean, I haven't seen. I mean, I'm still cutting through deep roots and bigger roots, and you know, we've actually rolled logs with them. I mean, we're talking about massive trees that fell. We would grab it, and then we would just pry like a pry bar, and just roll these big logs and big trees out of the way.
Wow.
Eric had used it as an axe. He's there. He's hitting axe. That thing has been so beat up since 2013, and all that's wrong with it is the paint is off of it. There's no more left. But if we could, I would love somebody in Canada to actually sell them, because the price, it's almost ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. And then the duty and the shipping, that's why I don't have one. It's absolutely insane.
This is why we only have one.
I
And
know, I know.
so it's really hard to justify the cost.
It is. It really
Especially
is.
with the duties, like I said, especially when you get the duties on there
Yeah,
and
it's insane. It's absolutely
the
crazy.
difference. I mean, when we had gotten it, I believe that year, the Canadian dollar was almost equal to the American dollar, and
Yeah.
that was more beneficial to buy it back
Yeah.
then.
Oh, it would be like exorbitant today. Laurie, we are winding down here. I want to ask you what is next for Relic Dirty Hands? What's next for Laurie? Is there some place you want to go, something you want to do?
This year with the COVID, I'm sorry to bring that up. No one wants to hear this anymore. Our season was really slow to start, really slow. So unfortunately we just called our permission, to find out if it's still okay, we can go. And because they had closed the Ontario and Quebec border, we weren't even allowed to go to our permissions. Well, unfortunately they ceded it. So it's been ceded. So all our new farm field permissions that we got last fall, they're planted already. Unfortunately, we didn't even get on the fields, which I would have tried. But
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure, but I really want to focus on more stories, kind of bringing everybody along on the adventure, but letting them know more, because a lot of people they're like, okay, I'm at a park, but I would love to give them more information and realize the significance of why we're there, why we chose there, why we're hunting there, what we're looking for. And I'd like to bring more storytelling into our future videos, but hopefully we'll have an epic fall.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know, because all the places around here that we can actually go to without, having to travel, everything else, we've been metal detecting them since 2009. And the Equinox rejuvenated them. We were able to still find stuff, but I mean, you go all day for maybe a 1940 penny and that's it, so it's been a tough season to start. I might have a little less videos this year for everyone, but I hope that I may have less, but I'm hoping the quality is a lot more, and I'm hoping to get some more tests done with the Equinox.
Yes.
And try to help people with a little more of the things, and just see if I can help people go through that learning curve. And the tutorials are great, but there's, some things that I've realized after using it for 3 years that I wouldn't be able to tell everybody, even when I put out my tutorial, where I can now. And I'm hoping to help and do some more of those tutorials type videos or that sort of stuff. So that's what's coming up.
Right on.
Future, which is really uncertain at this point, if we'll ever be able to get out and black flies and ticks are out.
So if people want to get a hold of you, some people will be getting a hold of you for that Americano clad. Are you on social media? What social media are you on?
Absolutely. I'm on Facebook, Laurie Gagne, as my real and true name, as you're supposed to on Facebook. So I couldn't hide anymore my name.
Mark Zuckerberg will send the Facebook police.
They did send the Facebook police on me when I first started, and they closed my account, so I had no choice. And I was like, okay. So they turned what used to be my profile into a page. It's like, so anyways, but since then, everything, so on Facebook, Laurie Gagne. There's also Eric Danis, Danis. We're both on Facebook. You can send us a private message. Sometimes private messages are hard to get if we're not friends, and then they put them in this unknown area.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad. I'm like, oh my God, it's been a week, or it's been 2 weeks, or sometimes it's been a month, and I didn't even know these messages existed.
Yeah.
Or we're also on Instagram. What are we? I think I'm Relic Dirty Hands on Instagram. My daughter just introduced me to it, so I haven't been using it for long. I also have an email. We have Dirty Hands. Wait a second. DirtyHands001@gmail.com.
Okay. All right.
So it's DirtyHands001@gmail. But
right on.
What other? I think I'm on Twitter. That's another thing I haven't really been able. Like I'm old school. I'm trying to get onto these new things. My kids are trying to teach me some of them, but some of them I don't understand. I'm trying. I'm trying to be, in different platforms and stuff like this. But Facebook, I think Facebook and YouTube are the main two places where you can easily contact me. You can send me a message through YouTube as well, or even, I get emails from people that contact me, so I think they can somewhere find how to send me an email on YouTube. Yeah, but Facebook or YouTube, either one.
Right on.
Probably be the best way to contact me.
Right on. Any parting words, Laurie, for the peeps?
Seriously, we're gonna have to hang out a little more. It's been a long time. I've been wanting just to hang out and chat with you. This show's too short.
We'll have to do it again. Well, you know what? We'll do it again after you post your next few tutorials. Maybe we'll do that.
We'll take a look at that. Like I said, I'm anxious to. I have some more tests that's coming up, and I'm really anxious to see how those turn out, and to see if there's any other big differences that might surprise us.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. So, Laurie, thank you so. Oh, this has been a long time coming. Thank you so very much for being on the show today. I just want to share with everybody out there, and you as well, that next week, my guest is none other than Emily, Little Dirt Diggers.
Oh, so sweet.
Yes. So definitely join me next Sunday. And on top of that, I actually got out metal detecting yesterday, twice. I went out twice. So there will be a metal detecting video on Tuesday.
I'm supposed to be heading off right now. Eric already has all the stuff in the car too, and he's like, he was gonna leave like super early this morning, and he decided to stick around to keep the dog and the children at bay.
Oh, right on, right on.
Know, just in case, and they've been great,
Right on.
But anyways, yeah, so we're heading off too.
All right,
get to go.
Good luck to you. I hope you dig some amazing things, and stay safe. And once again, thank you so very much, Laurie. We definitely we will do this again.
Yes. I mean, I'd look forward to it.
Right on. All right. I am going to leave everyone with this, and I'll see you on Tuesday for a video. See you Thursday for Off the Cuff, and then I'll see you again Sunday for Coffee with Liz with Emily. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to turn you off. All right. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Get your official Diggy Canuck merchandise at Teespring. Mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Remember that every purchase you make helps to support the channel. Check out the link in the description down below.